Inravio.com.
James Hilton.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson, and you're watching the 505 on Racing Show. I know if you were watching last week, these two gentlemen were sitting to my right again, and as you know, I wore a different shirt last week. Now this is a team shirt.
Team shirt.
You know,
wear them all the time.
that's the only. It's like Gomez Adams in the Adams Family. He had that pinstripe suit. It was his favorite, so he had 100 of them. Now, poor Glenn here.
Spilled coffee.
It was the next shirt in the pile because he just did his laundry, so it's the same shirt. So thanks for coming back, guys. I know you took the helicopter this time.
Well, yeah, and we were actually able to get a spot in the parking lot, which was an anomaly.
It's empty.
What an anomaly that was.
Now, I gotta tell you, we had the opportunity to have, share some food together, some cannolis, because they were left over in that Jimmy Rennick brought.
Yes, they were.
And I wish the cameras and the mics were rolling.
Hysterical stuff. Stuff that dreams are made of, as
They
they
heard
say.
me laughing outside.
I know. That's the best stuff, the behind the scenes
And look,
stuff.
he's being real quiet. He had a lot to say.
All of a sudden, now he's quiet. Bow, chicka, bow, wow. You are. Yeah, Glenn, say a little
I
something.
just don't want any phone calls tomorrow from NASCAR or anybody else. I've gotten plenty over the years. One of the most fine race car drivers, probably, but fighting.
Man. No, I tried to drive on a modified tour, and Brett Bodine said, "Listen, dude, you don't have enough open wheel experience." I said, "I drove figure 8 cars. By the time the race was over, the fenders were off. That was open wheel." He didn't think that was funny. He just didn't think it was
They
funny.
frown upon that stuff.
But anyway, I'm gonna fuel the fire a little bit.
Here we go.
All right. We talked about this briefly. The France family, they're shopping NASCAR. The third generation has more money than they know what to do with. They don't really run NASCAR the way Daddy and Grandpa did. So they have people looking for a buyer. And Goldman Sachs is one of the, this is serious. If Goldman Sachs is involved trying to sell you a company.
Your business, right?
Well, it's the right time to buy it. One of my best friends owns the largest buyout company in the world. I'm sure they'll be looking at it. It's the time to buy. NASCAR right now is at the lower lows as far as fan participation. As you see them taking grandstands out of racetracks constantly. You're dealing now with third, fourth generation France family. My uncle Bob Saul, Bill France, Todd Hill, people like that started NASCAR in 1947. They did this for the drivers. And I'm sure Bill France Sr., my Uncle Bob, they're probably rolling over in their grave what they see now. It's like you go to Daytona, and you guys were talking about it earlier, it's like you went to a concert and a race broke out.
Right.
And I know, they're trying to put on a show, and it is entertainment. But I think we've gotten away from what's really important and what people are really coming there for, and it is the racing. So I think if you can get a good buyer that really wants to put their heart and soul into it, go back a little old school, that might be a great thing. But sometimes you got to be careful what you wish for too in NASCAR's defense. But I think it is time for them to maybe part ways. The France family, they're all getting a little older. They've made tons of money. And sometimes new blood coming into a series is the best thing that could ever happen. Right. But again, as I said, be careful what you wish for.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. You go to a track now. You go to Daytona in February. It's a whole week long of festivities, I like that. I like the race aspect. That's what I'm a racer first. But you bring people there that aren't racers first. They want to see a concert. They want to see, some bells and whistles. I think it's good to bring both ends together.
Okay, but apparently, I understand what you're saying.
But
the people used to come to watch races. Right. They came to watch race car drivers. Since they went to this carnival atmosphere,
I get it.
It's kind of went awry. And one of the biggest problems is, here's one of your biggest problems. Back in the early 90s, NASCAR was at the top of its game. And I think what happened was, well, I don't think I know, they got a little greedy.
Yeah.
So what they did was they raised the prices, and they made you buy. Back then it was the Grand National Series and Cup Series. Right. They were making you buy tickets for both days, and it became more and more expensive. Then they went to, it used to be the twin 125s. Okay, and those were good races because guys had to race their way into the Daytona 500. There's no more racing your way into anything. And you used to have to buy, so you had to buy a 3-day package. And now that's very expensive. And families can't afford to do that. They can't afford to go to these races and, like as John said, come for a week and spend.
It is a lot.
It's way too much money for these people. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier to sit home on your couch, have Jimmy bring you over cannolis, and then get ice cream and hamburgers for $20. You feed your whole family and the people on the block. Instead of going to the races with a family of 4 and spending at least $200, and that's going to Riverhead Raceway. Right. That's not going to Daytona or Talladega or any other big track. That's going to Riverhead Raceway. If you've got a mom, a dad, and 2 children, and you go out there and you're going to buy a hamburger and a hot dog and a soda and pay to get in, you're going to spend $200 by the end of the night.
Without blinking an eye.
Without blinking an eye. And that's a lot of money for the average family. Now, here's the problem. If they want to do it on a regular basis, that becomes $800 to $1,000 a month. How many families with children can afford that? They can't afford to do that.
No, not at all.
At a baseball game, some people go to maybe 3 games a year. They might go to a hockey game. They might go to a football game. So they spend the money once a year, not 20 or 25 races at Riverhead Raceway, Thompson, Stafford, etc. So somehow, some way, if they lowered the prices for things, put more people in the stands, it would probably equal the same thing, but now you're developing a fan base.
Right.
So the young kids learn to root for somebody, and they develop a liking for the races. They see like Jimmy's truck in the back with all the lights. Kids love to see that.
Yeah.
But without them coming to the races, they'll never see anything.
No. And you were saying about the tickets, I had a package. I had Daytona 500 tickets for years, only Sunday. Next thing I know, I get a letter in the mail. Which that letter, I'm driving home from Speed Weeks, and my mail, there's next year's bill.
Yeah.
You got to buy 3. Pick the 3. So now I'm looking at my package. It's $2,400. So I've been going forever. So I do it. Well, all of a sudden I said, wait a minute, I can't do that. This sitting on my $2,400. I'm one of 190,000 people who did that. The interest that they made on that money for a year.
It's unfair.
Times it by 190,000, 2,400 times 190,000. Stick that in the bank and get
interest on that.
I'm sure they're getting 5-10% of their money when they have that much money.
Yeah, you're an investing guy. You've done that most of your life. That's big.
That's great business on the business
This
end.
guy went to jail for that.
Now, remember something?
And some in the early 2000s.
You just talked about $2,400 to go to the races. You didn't talk about getting there. You didn't talk about hotels. You didn't talk about food. You didn't talk about buying souvenirs.
No.
So now, and then now, they go to the local track. Think of the money it would cost to go to Daytona, a family of 4, for a week. And then you get down there in the hotels. They want a 5-night minimum, and it's at least $300-400 a night.
Minimum.
I remember going down there and testing the night. My first time I ran Daytona was 1994, I believe, and we went down to test, and we were standing there in Ramada Inn. It was $29 a night. And we came back 3-4 weeks later, and it was $189 with a 5-night minimum.
Yeah.
What changed so much?
Yeah.
But so us race teams could probably afford that, or we could afford it. What about the family of 4?
That can't.
Can't.
We were at Dover a couple of weeks back. Stayed at a hotel. Beautiful hotel, about 2 miles up away from the track. I said, you know what? We're racing here in, October. Let me book the rooms now. They wanted $150 a night more and I'm a team owner. I said to the guy, we're coming back. I need 5 rooms for 3 nights, but it's $150 more a night than it is right now.
Right.
I said, is that fair? No, but you know what? Up the block, they're $200 a night more. Everyone's doing it. You can't. You're not going to stop people from going to the races.
No.
So if it's not John or Glenn or Joe buying those rooms, it'll be so and so and so and so. They're going to sell because they're sold out.
Oh yeah.
So it's.
See, Clay Campbell down in Martinsville, he doesn't let that happen. It goes up a little bit, but not. I stayed at a Days Inn and not that the Days Inn is, 5-star, but I needed a bed and a shower.
Right.
I'm in Daytona for the week.
Right.
So the first half of the week, it was $89 a night. Wednesday night to Thursday, because we had to do 150s,
Right.
it was $159 a night. Friday night, it was $219 a night.
Holy cow.
Saturday, it was $399, and Sunday was $499 for the same dumpy room. And they disconnected the ice machine.
So you had to buy ice.
Really?
Because they would sell you bags of ice for $10 a bag.
Those are the things that make racing, to the person that wants to be a fan,
Right.
very unfair.
Right.
Very unfair.
No.
It's like price gouging.
Exactly.
And it's not fair.
That's exactly
You know,
what it
that's why when I say we as a general community are not making in ratio more money than what they're charging to go to races.
Right.
They're charging, 60% more
Yep.
in all these places. You're not making 60% more.
No.
It's costing you to get to the race, costing you gas, costing you lodging, food. So no wonder why they're losing. But it's not just NASCAR. It's anybody centered around that track.
That's right.
Everyone is price gouging.
Yeah.
How do you fix it? You can't put a war out there, can you?
Because nobody wants to be the first
No
one
one's
to
the
bite
first
the
one to do
bullets
it.
and go backwards.
Right.
And that's what has to happen. And
Yeah.
when you look at, NASCAR now being for sale, I mean, Bill France, big Bill France and Bill France Jr., not only did they make it, they were racing people. They wanted the racers to come because the more cars you had in the pits, the more fannies you had in the seats.
Right.
And they walked around and they knew the drivers, they knew the teams, they knew the crew chiefs. Brian France could walk through the garage. Some people don't even know him.
Oh, he is, right.
Because he doesn't walk through the garage.
Right.
And I could say this because NASCAR can't call me. I don't have a NASCAR license.
Listen, the best man ever at that was Bob Bear.
Yes.
You understand? Bob Bear would come in and thank every single person who was in that garage area.
That's right.
Every single fan that walked through the gate, he'd be out there in the parking lot. But Bob Bear was a racer.
Yes.
See, that's the difference.
Yeah.
I remember the one year we had, I think it was 93 cars at Loudon. And we were only starting, 38 or 40. And I heard, thank God I remember qualifying, actually qualified pretty well. But he sent checks to every
Yes, he
one of
does.
those guys that didn't
That didn't
qualify.
make it. Wow.
He sent them like $500 or $1,000. It didn't say that in an empty blanket. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate you being here.
And I
you
can
know
vouch
what that
for that.
does for a guy?
Really? Yep.
$1,000 gets him to the next race. Bob Bear would come. Somebody crashed a car real bad. He would actually go up and nobody knew about it. He'd give him some money.
Yep.
I know this because my dad and my uncle Bob Sowell brought Bob Bear to his first race ever when he owned a construction business in Connecticut. But the things that Bob Dare has done for racing in New England, he is the man that has
He is.
helped racing in New England more than anybody.
Right.
By even building Loudon, he built that racetrack with no guarantees of any races.
That's right.
And he said, I'm not running a 500-mile race. They're boring. I'm going to run a 300-mile race.
Yes.
And NASCAR said no. Well, in a couple of years, of course, they had it. Right?
Yep.
And I raced there many. The only race I didn't run was the first one.
Right.
And I was Davies' crew chief in that race. But that man has done more for racing, and it's a shame that these promoters, even, look at what Ben Dodge did. We mentioned before Larry Mendelson.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what, even now, I said Howie Commander at Lebanon Valley. Look what these people do, and how are they getting people in the grandstands?
Right.
There's a reason. And don't tell me the taxes are higher here, because if there was people in the stands buying hot dogs and hamburgers, that's better than nobody being in the grandstands.
That's right.
So I don't really want to hear about taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
If you put people in the stands, they'll be more apt to spend money. Also, you're developing a fan base. And there are promoters out there, even to this day. You go to I went to Berlin Speedway last year, out in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and the line was out the door. The place was sold out. I never saw anything like it in my life. It was $12 to get in. They have a bar behind the grandstands. Beers were $2. There was a line down the road for beer. They had ice cream machines. The lines were down the road. And you're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the middle of America.
Middle of nowhere.
And they were, and by the way, they were paying $20,000 to win that race.
Unbelievable.
So that you can do it if you want to get out there and hustle.
Yeah.
Okay, I even watched it. I'm not making fun of Riverhead Raceway, because I do like Eddie and Connie Partridge, know them for many, many years, okay? But I know because of friends, they were opening up last week or whatever it was, but I didn't see any paper anywhere about Riverhead Raceway opening up. I didn't see an advertisement. You remember years ago with Islip Speedway? There was signs, this, that, papers, and I know it costs money, but I know Eddie Partridge has the money if he wanted to put advertisement in papers. But nobody knew about that racetrack being open unless you drove by the Speedway and you looked over at the Indian, there was a little sign opening up, whatever the heck the date was, May 5th or something. Yeah. So you got to put some time and effort into it.
You do.
Okay? And I hope they would. And people say, well, you got to be thankful there's a racetrack on the island. I agree with that. But I'd really like to see the racetrack on the island flourish and do real well. Right. And then that would be really cool. But again, it's like anything else in life. You get what you put out of it. If you want to be a lawyer, you go to the library and study hard. And then you try to go to an Ivy League school. Okay? If you want to be good in basketball, you work real hard at it. Okay? It's the same with promoting a racetrack or anything else. Right. You get out of it what you put into it, time and effort.
Yeah, you were talking about Bob Bear before, and I can vouch for that story about the paying people. You know, I was the race director on the modified series at the time, and one of my good friends who I helped during the week, you know, in the dark, so to speak, didn't make the show. Tuesday, he got a check in his mail and a letter from Bob Bear. Sorry you didn't make the show. Here's a little something to make you come back for the next one. It was for what last place paid.
Really?
And when he built that place, he wanted that second deck, and the county or the town said, no, you can't do it. So they said, why not? And the fire chief says, because I don't have any equipment that could reach there in the event of a fire. So Bobby goes, well, what does that piece of equipment cost? Like, you know, about that. He goes, about $10 million. He goes like this, takes out a check. Go get that truck.
Yeah, they bought it from Oceanside Fire Department. Had a big, huge one. Yeah, they did. Seriously. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, these are the things that nobody knows. Wow. You know, it wasn't back in those days, all greed. You know, promoters cared about the competitor.
But how many people really want to go out and work hard? Break their ass. You know what? It's just a different world now.
It is.
It's a different world, and it's in some ways it's better. You know, modern technology and everything. In other ways, it's not. You know, I own a business. I got 50-some employees, and God, it's like none of them want to work.
No. Nope.
And it goes the same right down the board, whether you're in, you know, IBM or you work for Goldman Sachs or you're a little guy in somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't seem like they want to work too hard.
Nobody wants to work. And nobody wants to work.
And the ones that do succeed.
I was just
the ones that do succeed.
There are people that want to work.
Absolutely.
And the ones that are working and working hard are the people that you're talking about that are succeeding.
Working smart.
Right. You know, it's up to you. You have the opportunity to go do it.
You know, and a lot
I
of
love
things
racing. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But
you grew up in this.
Well, and that's true. I grew up in racing, and you know, with my dad and whatnot, and I see that people can't make it to the track. And this, I don't want to broach this whole subject. We have a lot of fun stuff, but it's hard to take a family to the track. I don't care what track it is. To go out to a track with a family of 5, it's expensive.
You can't.
And you know what? And it shows because the stands are not filled.
You know, and I've been going to the races 53 years. Wow. And I can remember, and you two probably can remember too, when you went to your seat in the bleachers, it was the same
seat.
people every week.
Right.
And when I got married and had kids, I knew if I had to run down a pits or something,
somebody would be watching.
Exactly.
Your family, friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And who, you know, everybody bags of stuff to eat and pass it around. Who had this and that.
I don't know what it is, why it's changed.
Gone.
It's gone. You know, we have it like with Jimmy and Angela and his crew. Like when we were out at Riverhead, we looked forward. And I tell you what, my father, am I right or am I wrong, Jimmy? My father would always say, are the trucks running tonight? Because if he, you know, my dad's in, you know, he's in pretty good health, but it's hard for him to get around.
Yep.
Is Jimmy coming? Is Angela coming? Oh, it's so nice when they're there. That's like that family thing.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get that across the board, across the pit area anymore. Yeah. It's sections. And in the grandstand, like you said, when my dad was racing at Freeport, turn 1, right at the railing of the bleachers, was the Visconti family. And, you know, as a kid running around underneath the bleachers, and the Mercedes, Mercedes sat a little bit further to the right. You know, they watched us as kids. You know, John, don't go up to the top of the stands, you'll fall.
What did I tell you?
One of the Mercedes are going to push you over.
Oh, man.
My
grandfather worked the door back there. He was a security guy, my grandfather.
Let me say something before we end up this thing. I don't know how much time we have. The drivers have to do their parts too. You know, and these young kids now think that they're owed something. You know, and I know when I was racing and doing pretty well, I would never not sign a kid's autograph. I would stay there. I remember being in Loudon, New Hampshire. It was over 100 degrees. They had that parade downtown, and I was the last one there, and I was proud because kids were waiting online for my autograph. I was proud of that. You know, I would never leave. I've watched Davey Allison, who was a hell of a lot better driver than I ever was. We'd miss a kid. We'd drive back. He said, turn the truck around. I missed a kid. We would turn around and go. Kyle Busch is not doing that. These guys aren't doing that. It's like if they sign a few autographs, they like kind of throw it at you and they march on.
Yep.
And that's how you develop a fan base. By a young boy liking an athlete, a race car driver. And we have to pay more attention to these drivers being more interactive with the fans and wanting to do it. You know, like I said, I bring up Kyle Busch because I've seen him. It's like, it's disgraceful. And then I watch my boy, Stuart Friesen, who's on his hands and knees signing things for kids and doing this and doing that. And man, that's what, and Stuart's not a kid anymore. They should watch what he does. Watch what Richard Petty does at the races now. There's the best one of them all, one of the greatest drivers. He would never not sign an autograph and ask the kid how his day was and pat him on the head. Not just sign something and throw it at him.
But you know what the deal is too? And I hate to be devil's advocate on this. For argument's sake, you get a Kyle Busch, right? When we're at the racetrack, we're at Riverhead Speedway, you don't have many fans, too many fans, from the grandstands walking in while we're working on the race cars. You have crew members, okay? After the races are over, your day's done, win, lose, draw, crash, or whatever. Now you've got yourself cleaned up.
Yep.
You took a breath, and then the droves of fans come in. At a NASCAR event, and you know, and I'm a fan of what you're saying. You got your game face on. You're walking down pit road, just about going to your car to go run your Daytona 500. You got 50,000 people running towards you.
All right, well, let me stop you. My first Daytona was the Permadex 300, and we got escorted out. We got introduced, and we got escorted out to our cars by state troopers. And there was a bunch of little kids there.
I get that.
And I went and I said, I got to sign these kids' autograph. And they're calling me because it's gonna be on TV. But to me, because I was raised the right way in the sport,
I get that. You're right.
I had to sign those little kids' autograph.
Yep.
And then I had to run to my damn car, and I left the state trooper.
See, I'm not saying it's
But
wrong.
if more people would do this, you'd develop more fans.
Absolutely.
You know, and you'd have more fans. So to me, I don't know. I think these athletes need to look at it a little differently also.
Yeah.
You know, without those people in the grandstands, you wouldn't get paid to play sports.
Absolutely, I agree. Hey, we got to take a break, but before we take a break, we got to look at some of the past guests that we had on past shows in the 350. Hey, there's a guy that's speaking for himself. Ralph Shaheen made a point last year for show 300 from Speedport, and you know, I'm sure you know Ralph. He made a little talk about congratulations on 300 shows, and I'll never forget that. Here's a guy, a national guy, took time out and sent that little bit to me there. I didn't get a chance to remind him this year, but that made me feel good. It really did. And we had a bunch of other people on over the years as well. There's Roger Roxy. The guy he was supposed to come tonight, but he had a family obligation, and he was really bummed out about it. Roger, for those who don't know, he lives like 3 or 4 hours away from here.
Yeah.
He would drive down, come, do the show, and then drive all the way back. I even asked, stay with me if you want. You know,
I spoke to him this morning.
Yeah.
I called him. He spoke with me. He said to wish you luck and
Yep,
congratulations.
he sent me this thing. He was all upset. You know, how many years did he race late models? 40 years racing late models. One of the winningest drivers. Ryan Preece, when I saw him in the NASCAR Whelen Modified race when he first came on board, and I said to him, Ryan, I've been watching race car drivers my whole life. You're going to go up. You're going to make the move. Just relax. Take it easy. Now the guy's driving Xfinity cars. You know, and you can't ask for a nicer kid. He was brought up right. And T.S. Allers, Eddie and Connie Partridge, they helped him along with the modified, got him noticed, got him seen, and I think there's only more stuff coming for Ryan Preece moving forward. He took the time to talk to us a few times for our show. And there's a bunch. My good buddy Ted Christopher. I still get choked up when I see pictures of him.
TC.
The guy, yeah, the guy would call into the show. He'd break my chops in a good way, you know. And when I first went to the modified series, all I heard about Ted Christopher, the 3-tap rule. He's a tough guy. This, that, and the other thing, you know. And I went up to him the first time. I said, I got to tell you about something. Yeah, what do you got? And you know, he has that spring in his walk, you know. And I'm like, you don't look so tough to me. And we built a friendship, like, because we talked. And it's stuff like that, and guys like that took time out, you know, like you guys, and you got more important things I know to come 3 hours to come talk to me, but
No way.
yeah, I know, buddy.
No way.
You're my buddy, but that's what it's all about, guys. John, I got to thank you.
Pleasure.
And always, and Glenn, we
my
finally
pleasure.
hooked up.
Congratulations. Yeah, we sure did.
Thank you, sir, and
Hope you enjoyed it.
all good things, and I wish you guys both continued success.
Thank you.
And we'll see you around the bull rings and the super speedways.
Absolutely.
Yes, you will.
Always love the bull rings.
Always love the bull rings. Hey, we're going to take a break, and we come back. I'm bringing up a guy who's been following my show since day one. Crew chief on two of my cars. We had some good times, and he was always a chat room guy. It's time he's here. So I'm going to bring up Joe Cicella, a.k.a. Jay Slice, when we come back.
Hey, what's oh, I said was gonna say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
Hey, welcome back. To my right, your left, my good buddy and former crew chief, Joe Cicella. Joe, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you know, Joe's one of those guys, he never misses a show unless he has baseball, you know, with his son, and that's important. You know, that's important. I know how important that is, and, you know, I wish my dad did baseball with me when I was a kid, you know, but we did different things. We did different things. But never missed a show. He's always in the chat room. If he's home, he's on. He's watching. And,
Without a doubt.
And I met Joe and his brother Brian when his brother was racing and Joe was crewing for his brother Brian, and I can remember at the end of the night driving home, and you'd be in that van towing home, you know, back to Belmont, whatever, Baldwin. And I hey, always waved, and then I became the guy, and I'll tell you what, you know, a lot of drivers don't like some of the decisions I made, don't like some of the calls I made, don't like when I back up my tech guy, even if my tech guy's wrong, because you got to back him up. But you guys never gave me a hard time, ever, no matter what.
You never gave us a reason to give you a hard time.
No, and then when I needed a driver, I went through, I had the Blunderbuss car, and I had a decent sponsor, and I needed a driver. My daughter didn't want to do it anymore. And I went through the list of drivers who didn't have a ride. And then I just went, well, you know, why don't they have a ride? And got rid of those guys. And then I went to the list of, you know, guys who were consistent. And I was down to 5 people. And I'm sitting down with a couple of people. And I says, all right, this guy, he always fights. I can't have that. I work for NASCAR, cross him off. This guy did. I said, wait a minute. If I take Brian Cicella, he comes with his brother. That's a pair of hands. Like Roger Mann used to call you guys the Joe Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, because he couldn't tell you apart. Well,
couldn't tell us apart, and it started back when we slot car raced.
Yeah.
We actually raced slot cars with Roger Manor before we even crewed with him.
Yeah. So you guys came to my house.
Yeah.
We sat in my office. I had an office back then. It was pretty cool. You know, I had a nice little office.
All
my
the
racing
pictures. That was nice.
Yeah. And we talked, and at first it was, we're just going to run a couple of races. Let's see how it goes. And then I said, all right, you know, I have a shop in Medford, so let's go start. And our practice was a week later.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that was a scary.
So we
walk
go to
in that shop.
You go to the shop. I open the door, open the garage door to Saturday morning, and I have a roll cage, a chassis, and a drive chain. And brother says, "We gonna make open tonight? Open tonight? We're gonna make practice? No way! Did we make practice?
Yep.
We did.
You showed me how to build the body on a race car in 3 hours.
Yeah, you know.
3 hours, you had a body. We had a body on that car, ready to go.
And I painted it during the week, and we were ready to go. And you know, I was only good at doing bodies because I wrecked so much that I got good at putting them back together.
You're pretty good at painting them too.
Yeah, we had some fun. But you know, when we were doing this, and then when I left the shop and we moved the operations to my garage in Sayville, you know, we had our nights. That was our night.
Yeah.
And we called the local pizzeria, or we had
That was
spaghetti.
our 4 to 6 hours of enjoyment.
Yeah, and the person I was with at the time, she says, "You know what I don't understand? You break in practice, you could fix the car in 10 minutes. Why does it take like 7 hours to like do the same thing?"
We never let her know that we bullshitted half the
Yeah,
time.
we're sitting out there talking, and the neighbors are calling the police, you know, because the lights are on. But we had a lot of fun doing that. And,
Oh, without a doubt.
you know, and I look back, and I, like I've told people, I said, you guys are like family. You guys are like family to me. And, you know, we had parties, the guys came over, and there was that one night, and
Oh, I thought you were going to be drunk as a skunk the next
you know,
morning.
I'm playing flip cup. I'm playing flip cup, and it's the shirts against the skins, you know, so we could differentiate. And a couple of the women didn't want to take their shirts off that were on the skin side. And you guys walked in, you were like, and you had some of the food left over from Deli Boys, that was our sponsor, and we're eating the food. And you called me up the next morning. "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine."
I couldn't believe you didn't wake up with
I
a
don't.
hangover.
I don't get drunk. That stuff don't bother me. It's like drinking iced tea, you know. But I look back. We had such a good time, and then we had our Dapo shirts.
Oh,
know,
I still have mine in the closet.
I still have mine. And Dapo was started by Bill Park and Mike Mortimer. And Dapo stood for Drivers Against Poor Officiating. And Mike Mortimer was sponsored by an aerial plane company, and they flew around the track with a sign that said Dapo.
Oh,
And
that day it must have flown around about a half hour.
Oh yeah, and then we had that issue that we went from like 20th to 3rd in the double pointer in like 5 laps, and we had the mysterious leak, and that's when we got our Dapo shirts out of the archives.
Dusted them off and put them on.
Absolutely, and you know, but I look back, and then even with the figure 8 car, we had some fun with that car. That car was a moneymaker. That car was a moneymaker.
That car was unbelievable. It only had a 6, and Brian could make that thing turn.
Oh yeah.
And run with the 8s. And he did quite well, considering it was his first year ever in a figure 8 car.
Yeah, you know, and it was an adjustment even like with the spotting, because with figure 8s, it's not inside outside, because that changed depending on which corner.
I actually had to yield it to you.
Yeah.
I never spotted a figure 8.
It was fun.
Before I only did the oval, so figure 8 was totally new to me.
Yep. Now a couple of weeks ago, I run into Brian, and I got the itch, you know, and I guess, man, I think it's time to be a car runner, because my driving days are over. My driving days are over the day I started, but they're really over now. So
that's why I did the same thing. That's why Brian was behind the wheel and I turned wrenches.
So
I learned early that Brian was a hell of a lot better driver than I was.
Well, he was good, and I said to him, "Brian, what are you doing? What are you doing?" "I think I'm getting back into this." And he said, "Well, I got these rods in my neck and these screws holding my head on." I'm like, "Huh?"
Yeah. He got into a car accident about 8 months ago and got rear-ended pretty good, and they had to do neck surgery on him. And now that they corrected his upper neck, they still won't let him go back to work because now he's got pain in the lower back.
Yeah, that's what happens. You know, and I'm driving home that night. I was like, man, we could have had some fun, because I had no desire to race when Brian was driving my car and you were wrenching it. I had no desire.
We were having fun. It was fun again.
Exactly. And like you said to me that one day on the wall, we were watching, and you said, you have the same reaction whether we crash, finish bad.
You had the same look on your face when he finished, what was it, either 3rd or 4th, his first night out, as in 2 weeks later after he hit the wall.
Yeah.
It had to be towed off the
And
track.
getting, yelling and screaming and, getting crazy. You ain't gonna fix the car. And, and cheering and screaming because you did good. Okay, because you know that bubble could pop at any second, because you never know. But when I look back, it was a lot of fun times. And you guys, your dad was a Freeport guy way back in the day.
I actually had both of my parents when I was growing up working at Freeport Speedway, and that's how I got involved. I remember John's dad, Cookie Visconti, running the 74.
Yeah.
I was there for the start when Peter Erickson first started racing there. Art Tappan Jr. and Sr., Mike Campy, a whole bunch of demo guys. I remember the backwards, forwards Demolition Derby at Freeport Speedway.
Yep.
And those guys would make demo cars last three or four events because it was only 9 laps.
Yeah. I remember going to your house. We had the car there for a couple of weeks, and we were going to work on the car, and we were getting ready to go, and your dad calls me into the house. I was like, I wonder what he wants, So he goes, you don't need to be out there with him. And he brought out all the old Freeport books, and we sat at the table for hours looking at the books.
He has the complete set of last year Freeport Speedway yearbooks, 1983, from week 1 to the last week.
Yeah. That's like 35 years ago, 36 years ago. It's a long time. I look back at that stuff. Nobody saves things anymore. Everybody just throws it away. And you need to keep that. You just need to keep that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. So you miss racing?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
You know what I miss, and it's going to sound stupid? The kids coming in afterwards, climbing in the cars, climbing out of the cars, helping the kids in and out of the cars, watching Brian sign all the autographs. It didn't matter whether you won or you hit the wall at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. And that's, we always had a good crowd at the end. We giving them out candy and stuff and signing pictures. And that's what it's all about. And I know John and Glenn said it earlier, sign those autographs to those kids because you develop a fan. And we did.
I want to say something that's kind of sad too, because I switched baseball. My son and I switched baseball teams, and we're with the Eastern A's, who are located right out on Osborne Avenue in Riverhead. The cage, as they call it, is our practice facility. And half the kids haven't even heard of Riverhead Raceway.
And they're right there.
They're right there.
I know. They live right there.
We actually had a practice on Saturday. I think it was the second practice session for the season is Riverhead. We were at Riverhead Middle School. You could actually hear the cars running as they were practicing.
Yeah.
And the kids didn't even know what it was. Half the kids didn't even know what it was.
No, and that's a problem today. Because, and I know it said in last week's show earlier today that there's no advertising. Like, I can remember when I was a kid going to the bank and there were coupons on the bank. Like for half price or even free. There were things in the bakeries. There was things in the supermarkets. There was signs.
I can remember Freeport and Islip when they were opening. There was flyers everywhere. There was flyers for Islip out by me in Baldwin.
Right.
There was signs all over the place that Freeport was opening April 22nd, for example.
Yeah.
That Islip Speedway was opening the first weekend in April.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's, and back then, and maybe looking back, because you had Islip, Freeport, Riverhead, they had to do that, and now that there's only one, I guess when you're the only one, you feel you don't need to do that, but you need to create the awareness. You need to get the people coming to the racetrack, and it was said earlier by somebody that, sometimes that's, the drivers need to do that too, because especially in a weekly racing series racetrack, they're all working guys. They go to work every Monday to Friday, whether they work 7 to 3s, 8 to 4s, 3 to 11s, they're working guys. They need to promote themselves as well. Tell their guys at work, hey, I race, bring the car to work one day. What's that,
Well, we brought it to all our sponsors. We brought it to Deli Boy. When we were with Carl, we brought it to the Holtzville Fair and everything. That's how we got Main Street Fuels.
Yeah.
And you never know where a sponsor's going to be.
Right.
There was one kid, I remember the story clear as day. There was one kid that would never come around to the cars at the end of the night. He'd always sit in the back and watch everybody else get in the car. And my brother said, you want to sit in the car? He took the time you know, the kid couldn't climb out of the car, in or out of the car. 'Cause
Yep.
he was a little handicapped. And the father came up and appreciated it so much that the next thing we knew, we had a dealership from Snap-on Tools.
See?
You never know who's in the stands.
I'll tell you, you know, everybody knows Al Amarino race here in Long Island at Riverhead Raceway. And a lot of people think he's a little bit of a wackadoo, and sometimes he is. And but that's okay, you know.
It's good to be good friends with him.
Oh yeah. And so I'm not at his car. I'm at the car next to his, and this African American man and the little boy was standing behind the car, and this kid's watching everybody climb in, climb out, climb in, and the kid looks at his dad. He looks at the car, looks at, and the father just sitting there. So Al sees this. Al goes up. He goes, "You want to sit in the car? You want to sit?" And the kid looks at his father. His father goes, "Make it quick, son." The kid gets in the car. The kid, in his head, I'm sure, thought he just drove 100 lapper and won. Gets out. He's all happy. Al gave him stuff. 3 days later, it was like actually Wednesday, Al gets a call from Chrysler. That guy was the Northeast Regional Sales Manager for parts distribution for Chrysler. Gave him a credit card with a $50,000 line and told him, get what you need, because I was the only guy at Riverhead ridden a Chrysler at the time. Al didn't need anything, because, you know, Al was very self-sufficient with his race car. That the guy called him and says, "Didn't you get the card?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you haven't used it, because I don't need anything right now." And he goes, "You can use it." And it was one of those use it or lose it type of things. And he started, you know, using it. But like you said, you don't know who these people are that come up to you and say something. And I remember one of the first times I met JV, it was right after I interviewed his dad at Marty Himes. And I knew of him. I knew his dad, but all of a sudden this guy comes up to me and he said, "Thank you." And I'm like, what did I do? You know, in my head. And then he said, "You made my dad feel like $1 million." And I was like, "Oh, John, yeah, you cookies." And a friendship over that developed like in a snap. You never know who you're talking to. You never know how you affect somebody.
And the racing family is a tight-knit family. You could go separate ways for 2 or 3 years, not see each other.
Yep.
And as soon as you see that guy, pick up like you had a conversation yesterday.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter where it is
Yeah.
either.
No, it doesn't. And I said earlier, you know, you're with these people all season long, every Saturday, some Sundays, a couple of nights during the week. Season ends, you might get a Christmas card, maybe. Opening day comes, it's like you just went out to dinner the night before.
Yeah. You
It
strike
just
up a
reconnects.
conversation like it was a day when September when it ended until April when it started again.
Yeah.
Like you were right with each other the day before.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm not thinking, you know, in other sports, I'm not thinking that Aaron Judge goes over to the pitchers on the other team and says, "Just throw me low and inside and I'll strike out." No, they don't do that. And the pitcher's not saying, "I'm going to groove one, chest high, straight, you know, hit it out of the park."
No.
Racing's the only sport where you help your competitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you help your competitor.
You remember the night we got into the accident on the way to the track?
Yeah.
You were right there making sure we were okay, and
Yep.
we had Eugene Malverne helping us get the car ready. We had, what was it, Kevin Clark. We had Chris and Tracy Chirico. Matter of fact, Chris almost missed his heat race. You had to double call him up because he was under the car helping us get it ready that day.
Yeah. And I can remember guys would be on their way and they'd break down. And I'd get a call from the comedies. So-and-so's broken down. Can you stall a little bit? And I'd find the stupidest reasons to stall. I'd like, "Go yellow, put it out, put it out. I think there's fluid on the track." So you know that takes a good 15, 20 minutes because between finding it and then telling the track crew to drop speedy dry and make believe there's a leak. You know, because that's what you did for a guy who broke his buns all week long to go racing, and to have a guy pull in and say, "We just ran your race, sorry." I would never let that happen, you know.
No.
And you know, and reminds you of when the late Tom Baldwin would decide that he was going to show up because whether he didn't qualify at a tour race or something, and you know, you get that call from Bob O'Rourke, "All right, sweep the outside groove, he's coming." And we knew right away what they meant by that, you know, that Tom Baldwin was coming. And that's what we did for people, you know, who's stuck at the ferry, you know, on their way from Connecticut because they
missed the ferry, or whose ferries was delayed because the choppy waters and stuff like that.
It's what we do, and like I said, the relationships that we've built over the years with people, and now I'm really feeling old because my friends' kids are having kids that they bring to the racetrack, you know. Kenny High Jr., he has, you know, he's a 1 or a 2 year old. I raced with his dad.
He's 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah, you know, it's the things like that you look back on, and the kids, and like my kids grew up as track rats, and you know, now my daughter is a photographer, not only for the racetrack, for myracenews.com.
She's a scorer.
And my other daughter, Erin, she's the head scorer at the racetrack, and you know, they grew up there. My son, when he lived up here, he was on the track crew, and then he became the assistant flagger.
Yeah, he was a flagman for a while.
Yeah, and he was flagging. He used to flag the figure eights because he wanted to be like Bruce Nolan, run, you know, as they come in. You know, it's all of that. And my daughter Jessica was racing, and even my daughter Megan was a scorer. So all my kids did something at the racetrack, and they've developed some nice friendships over the years, and some good loyalty. So and that's what it's all about. And that's why I do this stuff, you know. And we get to talk and chat and talk racing and have fun with my friends, you know, break their chops a little bit. They break mine, and you know, it's unfortunate. Roger Roxy couldn't make it, you know, last week or to this show, and he was bummed about it. He I don't know how many messages he sent me that he was so bummed about it, and you know, he had a family situation that he had to take care of, and I would have loved to see Roger Roxy and JB over there going back and forth.
You go back and forth on the phone.
Yeah.
No one's even listening.
That'd be scary. You put them next to each other up here for a while.
But it makes me feel good to know that this guy comes from Staten Island. This guy came over from Howard Beach. This guy, you know, I've been trying to get Glenn on the show for a couple of years, and you know, we were locked in one day, and we had an unfortunate situation that he couldn't come. And when he told me why he couldn't come, I said, I'm going to the same place, you know. And it was just one of those things. And when, you know, two moving targets, it's tough to hit. But, you know, and I appreciate that everybody came out.
Everybody's got stuff going on. I got my son's baseball, school ball. He made the school ball team. He's playing with Eastern A's travel.
Yeah.
And that's what's filled my time up now.
There you go. Anyway, we're going to take a break. Before we go, we have some more people that were on our show. And Joe, I thank you for taking time. I know you came right from baseball and
sunburn to prove it.
Yeah, and Steven's doing so good. I'm proud to hear it. But here we go. Terry Styles. Not only was Terry Styles on the show a couple of times, Terry Styles, I gave him his start, believe it or not. My daughter was sick and couldn't race. And one of my sponsors says, I got this guy, Terry Styles. I said, I don't know no Terry Styles. Who is he? Is he good? Oh, no, he's good, he's good. And he ran the car for me that day, and he goes, do you want me to just ride around for the sponsors? I said, I could do that. Go out there and try to win. And he didn't win, but he didn't tear it up, and he had a fun time, and he drove the figure eight car a couple of times for me. He's running a crate modified in the NASCAR Wheeling All-American Series at Riverhead Raceway. And then the Petersons. I know the father, Artie Jr., and then we got Artie the third, and then Alan, and we had them on the show a couple of times. We just had Artie the third on to talk about his New York State Legends INEX, I guess, championship.
Those are other kids I've watched growing up.
Yeah, now he's in a crate mod, and I'll tell you what, you know, he had some issues on opening night, but he's going to be fine. He'll
get that car running right.
Yeah, he'll get it going. Good family. Good. That's a racing family, and they support each other. And I know one brother gave up his car for the other brother because he was in the points. And you know what? Dad didn't have to tell him to do that. He just did it, and because that's what you do. Here we got Timmy Solomino, modified tour standout, cut his teeth in go-karts, legend cars, late models, modifieds. He's an outstanding driver. He comes from a racing family, and again, it's a family that's doing it together, and that's important because now you're not arguing. You know, oh, you got this christening, you got the wedding, you got this. You know, the family, they load it up and they go racing. A good kid, and you know, he was another one that wished me well. Tom Rogers Jr. he wins in just about everything he drives.
Yeah.
I can remember when he came up driving George Brown's figure 8 car at Riverhead Raceway, and everybody thought he was just going to ride around, and he was battling for the win at the end. And I'll tell you what,
he's the one to beat now in the figure 8s.
He is, and you know, he's a little aggressive, but there's nothing wrong with that. That's what race, you know, what do they say in that movie, Days of Thunder? He didn't bump you, he rubbed you, and rubbing is racing. And, you know, it's...
Well, Brian wasn't...
You just can't do that. And Tracy Chirico, Tracy, when I bought a car from her former husband, she came with it. She became the tire person. And she was very helpful to me and my daughter. And then she went up to Bethel Motor Speedway and did some stuff. She was the operations manager. Now she's at Evans Mill Speedway, upstate New York, where you can almost see Canada from the grandstand. And she's the promoter up there. And her heart and soul is in racing. And she's been on our show as well. And her mom is one of the people that is always in the chat room. Her mom is Winnie. And so I thank Winnie for that as well. But it's all good, and this is what we do. And these are some of the people that I've known and met over the years. So anyway, Joe, I want to thank you again for making the trip right from baseball. I know you got a lot going on, so thank you.
No, I wasn't going to miss it if I could make it. Maybe a few minutes late.
Anyway.
But I made it here.
All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. We got Jimmy Rennick Jr. coming back into the seat. He made it back. He has his racing shirt on, and you had to see before we started. I thought he was going to come wash the car or something because he was dressed like it was the summertime, you know. But we'll have some fun with Jimmy when he comes back. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris West Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Master. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back, Joe.
How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good.
That's
this
nice.
is fun. I'm a little humbled by this.
Oh boy.
That first of all, that's 350 shows. I'm an emotional guy, for those who don't know me. And I'm kind of humbled by this because 350 shows, that's a lot of friggin' shows, you know? And I was only going to do this for a little while to help out my buddy Chuck, and here I am. And we used to be in that little corner on a little table. I did the board. There was no guy in a little room telling me what to do, talking in my ear. And we've moved up. Now we have 3 cameras, and it's so bright, you know.
And you still don't have pants on.
I still don't have pants on. I don't have pants on. I only have to look good from here up.
I know. I worked on all this today.
I know.
Okay, who said good?
You know.
Okay.
And I got this new smile now, so we're good. We're good.
Rocking it over there.
Yeah, I'm trying. You know, I got to look good because you never know. Somebody might, pick me up and move this show to like Charlotte or something, and it'll be like on national TV. You gotta, yeah.
Don't hold your breath.
Why is Glenn laughing like that?
Okay.
Did I laugh at him?
He's on a roll tonight.
Did I laugh at him before?
Holy crap.
You know? I mean,
It's a rough crowd over here.
when he was in confession before, I didn't tell anybody about his sins.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hear nothing.
Oh, this is.
You know, over there? No, I didn't hear nothing.
No, you didn't hear nothing because you're from Howard Beach. You don't. People in Howard Beach are hard of hearing. Nobody in Howard Beach has hearing or eyesight.
No.
You saw nothing. You heard nothing.
Take the fifth. You got that helicopter warmed up yet?
Because you noticed when I went to your house, I parked up the block. You noticed that?
It's okay. We're not like that. We're good law-abiding citizens.
That's absolutely.
It's what we do.
We're businessmen.
Yes.
All right? We're businessmen.
Well,
and I'm just a
keep
guy
it up
living
over
on a
there, Sully.
pension. All right? I'm just living on a pension, just trying to get by.
Sure. Next.
Next.
Go back to JV's helicopter.
There's no helicopter circle in my house. All I'm going to tell you. You know, NYPD. And then I send the pictures. Every time I see an NYPD helicopter in the sky, I send a picture to JV. Every time. So you're a nice, quiet guy. You come home, you go to work, you come home.
Yeah, the only thing I do with him is the racetrack.
Yeah.
That's it. The hauler, the trucks, and the racetrack.
You know?
That's all I do. I'm fine with that.
Now, before you were saying on like Friday nights at your house, it's like St. Gennaro's feast.
Yeah, basically.
Now, going to your trailer at the end of the night, which the next time I go, I have to stop by. It's like going to like a wedding, like a buffet wedding. There's trays and tables.
Angela has a routine. You know, you got to come with the main course. Sometimes you have an appetizer, but not usually. By the time she gets there, you got the main course, and then the dessert's got to come out. Then she's got to get the coffee. And when she shows up, she comes with 2 Box of Joes from Starbucks. I don't know what they call it, Starbucks. Dunkin' Donuts calls it a Box of Joe. I call it a Box of Joe no matter where you get it from.
Yeah.
So she comes with 2 of those things. That's like the appetizer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's muffins or whatever, but she always has something. And I'm telling you, I don't know how the hell she does it. Roll up in the house. I'm telling you, there's trays. It's like we're a catering hall. That she connived Sal to using his big Tundra pickup to bring the food out to the track last week.
And then I realize this is what I like the best. When the trucks are there and you're there, and Cookie shows up on a scooter, you know, his little motorized scooter. He strategically puts his scooter so he's like the first guy online.
Yeah, but he's not allowed to get bread. Cookie's not allowed to have bread.
No bread.
No,
bread.
He stays away. Angela will not give him. Cookie knows he's not getting no sweets and not getting none of that. He'll get everything else that's there that's healthy for him, but nothing that.
And then he's there after that hip operation, and I'm rolling around on this like I got up, I get a scooter with my leg. Joey, take mine. It's motorized.
He's popping wheelies with the
I'm
damn
not
thing.
going anywhere. No, Cook, because the food is right there. I know you. You got a plan. We have some fun.
No, she does a lot, like I said before. And even a couple of the kids I forgot. I forgot about little Anthony, baby Anthony, I call him Fudgy. It's my brother Anthony's son, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
He's always at the track helping.
Yep.
And I forgot to mention him before. Sorry, Fudge.
That's all right.
But it's a lot. It takes a lot, as everybody knows. Between the family pitching in, I can't do it myself. It's just too much. And plus, everybody knows. I don't know a damn thing about these things. I just go in and drive them.
Yeah.
I try to.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't get all that fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And I told you on the last show.
Yep.
Was it on the 350th, whatever it was, 300th?
300.
We're on the 350th now. Is that it was always, to me, it was the smaller the circle, the wider the vision.
Yeah.
And that's the words I live by.
Yeah.
And to touch base on what they were talking about before, with the fans and building a fan base, is another thing I said on the show too. You only get one shot to make a first impression.
Yep.
No matter how you do it, that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
You don't get a second shot at the first impression.
You don't.
That was just to touch base on what them guys were talking about with the fan bases and everything with that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's fun. I have a lot of good times. I wish we can talk about winning more than we do about the hauler, about the graphics on the truck, about the food.
You know,
we need some damn wins.
I got
I don't know how we're getting there, but we're going to get there. We're going to get something done.
Winning is a different connotation for everybody. And sometimes for a guy, if he finished that race, that was a win.
You know what happened last week? I won last week.
You did?
I took second in the heat. I took third in the feature. But the 100, I'm telling you, I'm not lying, 100 or so people came up to me to wish me the best over my dad. And to me, I didn't need the checkered flag.
No, you didn't.
I didn't. Because it was, I spoke about it for a few days afterwards with Angela. It was kind of overwhelming. You know, I went to the tire truck, Connie's there. Jay's there. I'm walking through the pits, here comes Eddie, walking out of his way. You know, these are people that, they have a lot of things going on.
Right.
And the rest of the drivers, I'm walking through the pits, getting gas with the kids and tires, standing on line to check in, as everybody jokes around, we're always there early in the morning, it's like, you know, we should just pitch a tent. But the countless people that came up to me, and it was like, you know, as much as I wanted to win that night, as much as I wanted to win last year for my mom too, it wasn't in the cards. Listen, maybe it's just in the cards, I ain't never gonna win. But I won last week.
You did.
With the amount of people that came up to me, and I thought it was great.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jimmy, thank you. And you know what? You're one of those guys that I'm proud to call you friend. You know, you're one of my racing buddies, and I thank you. Anyway, wow, 350 is in the books. I just got to do one more thing. There's a guy who never missed a show, my biggest critic, my biggest fan, WJ Walter Johnston. He is, I made a promise to his family that he never missed an anniversary show. He didn't miss it.
Nope.
And I thank him for all the smacks in the head he gave me when my show wasn't that good, and the pats on the back when we kicked it in the butt. And I was there with him the night he passed. He was arrogant, he was angry, he was in a coma, but he was like fighting. And his daughter said, say something to make him laugh. And I said, this is the year Kyle Busch won the championship, missing 10 races. I said, Walter, Kevin Basic was right. NASCAR's fixed. They let Kyle Busch win. He's in a coma, he starts laughing. And he passed. He wasn't happy. And I love him.
Good man.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody who made this possible. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here and celebrating show 350. And all the shows in between. Looking for 400 to be sometime next June.
Should we quiz JV on 400?
Yeah.
50 more weeks.
50 more weeks. He added it. So with that, I want to remind everybody, tell somebody you love them. God bless you all, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, everybody, for coming out for 2 shows in a row. Good night. I love you all. Good night, babe. I can't get through that.
Inravio.com.